huge win for Panathinaikos against Real Madrid. And there are two main things that came to my mind after that game. Because, first of all, I think that it's a little bit underrated win because it was quite solid win for Panathinaikos. They had the lead almost the majority of the game, and it felt like a solid, convincing win. And of course, Madrid is bad at the moment, so that's why it's not, you don't have the same feeling because we're talking about the EuroLeague finalists. And Madrid was close to win the EuroLeague, really, against that Panathinaikos team last year in Berlin.
They were so dominant in the regular season. It seemed like a done fact that when they are in the Final Four, they're just going to win. We said that before the Final Four many times, that Real Madrid is a clear favorite. We know what happened after, but to go from the Final Four and the final to basically 10th seed or wherever they are right now.
Playing mix. That's crazy. That's crazy how it switched, like from the most dominant EuroLeague team to a borderline play-in team.
Kind of reminds me of Dallas Mavericks from the finals to we'll see where.
FS actually also had the same struggle. But at least they won the EuroLeague.
Yeah.
Anyways, Panathinaikos deserves a lot of credit because there are two main takeaways from that game that are basically very well connected. First of all, this win and this stretch of Panathinaikos shows to me that they survived Matthias Lazor's absence. And that's huge because I will bring back you to the day when Lazor got this injury. First of all, we thought that
horrific injury, yeah.
It was ugly. We thought that it might be not only until the end of the season, but maybe beyond. And suddenly, their season was put in jeopardy. And I've actually checked the standings. So it happened in the round 17. Just to give you a picture how crazy the world was when Matthias Lazor was healthy. So Žalgiris was 4th seed in the EuroLeague.
Paris must have been one.
Paris and Monaco topped the standings. Panathinaikos was around 8th. Both Serbian teams were out of the playoff picture. So that's how EuroLeague has changed in 11 rounds. But the main thing is that after that, when Panathinaikos were 9-7, after Lazor's injury, they won 8 of 11 games.
Yeah.
They made some changes. They brought Wayne and Gabriel. They relied on Yurtseven. Yurtseven got injured. Now they brought Tibor Plais. But there are a few main statistical takeaways from that stretch. So they won 8 from 11. Their offensive rating dropped from the league's best to the 5th best. But their defense from the 10th best increased to 7th best. So it wasn't a major change, but let's say Panathinaikos became more balanced team, and that helped a lot. And we're talking about a tough stretch for Panathinaikos. 3 of those 8 wins were against the top 8 teams. Yep. And Madrid is not even a top 8 team. And it was another win on top of that list.
It's interesting that basically what happened last year was also a not so strong start from Panathinaikos, and then Kendrick Nunn came and kind of turned it around, and they actually are right now at the same exact record, 18-10 after 28 rounds. So when you look at that, after Lazor's injury, they went from 9-7.
Yeah.
9-7 to 18-10 right now, which is, when you think about it, you would think they would go down. They went up, actually. Percentage-wise, they are a more winning team than they were back with Lazor. So definitely, like you say, a job well done to get around this big injury. Of course, after Yurtseven's injury, I was like, okay, now they're really in trouble. But they had Benny and Gabriel. He had a strong start. I guess the confidence in Gabriel has gone down a little bit from Ataman in this recent stretch. He started really well, like with I remember the first game, 5
block shots against Bayern,
8 rebounds, something like that.
And they played away, and I think that was the game when Bayern had a perfect home record in the EuroLeague. And Panathinaikos won that game, mainly boosted by Gabriel's performance.
To be honest, that was a very bad game from Bayern, because I think it was a game where Napier and Edwards, they combined for 4 from 23 from the field. So that was, a very out of the ordinary game for them. But anyways, yeah, they won that game. And generally speaking, even Yurtsev's injury didn't become something that they would have a losing streak. They actually have a 4-win streak, and Yurtsev's been out since the 22nd of January. So that's been quite a few weeks, actually 6 weeks exactly.
And he was actually good. During that stretch when Lazor was out, Yurtseven was
he was playing 23 minutes.
Highest scoring player on Panathinaikos, averaging almost 14 points, 6 rebounds in 23 minutes. And only Kendrick Nunn was over him in scoring, averaging 21.2 points per game and creating almost 31 points per game through scoring and assisting.
Okay.
Just to give you a context, TJ Shorts leads the league with 36 points created, and that's basically a historical number. Nobody else was so impactful creating points for their teams as TJ Shorts.
Yeah. And in terms of those wins, that the four win streak, the yesterday's game, obviously a comfortable win, not much to talk about there. Like you said, it was about more about the fact that Real is just terrible.
Also about that fact, right?
Plus, I would say if your main creator, Facundo Campasso, is held to 4 points and 5 shots the whole game, and he didn't take a single field goal in the first half of the game, that means Jaren Grant did a phenomenal job with his assignment, because I saw him working on defense against Facu. Didn't give him any comfortable looks. He had to pass out the ball a lot, and obviously he's a good to great passer, one of the best in the EuroLeague. But when you are limited to 0 shots in the first half, 5 shots in the second half, 2 of them late clock situations and forced up shots, I guess it's like a path to victory. It's the straightest path to victory, and it just shows and highlights again. I'm sorry to come back to Madrid, but how much they're lacking at like a second high-level perimeter threat.
I had an idea. I was watching Lorenzo Brown coming off the bench only midway through the second quarter, and watching him having this stretch while a lot of players stepped up in their game after Lazor got injured. Lorenzo Brown's impact reduced dramatically. From playing around 18 minutes and averaging around 8 points per game, his numbers dropped to 11 minutes per game and basically between 3-4 points per game. And okay, they brought him as a high-level guard, also kind of an insurance move in case Nunn gets injured, Slukas gets injured, Jaren Grant, anybody else. Now we see Marius Grigonin sidelined for a huge amount of this large part of the season. But now it feels like he doesn't have a role on this team. He lost the trust of Ataman. And if you just add him to a team like Real Madrid, I think that it would help a lot. That would be a huge
citizenship.
Exactly. That would be a huge trade for Madrid. And I don't rule out that he couldn't join Real Madrid after the season, although he signed a 3-year contract. If it continues that way, and if they don't have a in-depth conversation during the offseason about his future and the role in Panathinaikos team, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves out.
But also, don't forget his age. He's getting older. He's probably out of his prime. We are kind of still thinking about Lorenzo Brown of the 2022 season or so, when he was dominant.
Eurobasket MVP.
Eurobasket MVP.
Unofficial.
For Maccabi, he was playing great.
Yeah.
I mean, we remember that form he was in, and we haven't seen that form for a while now, actually. So
True.
It might be that he's just past his prime in another sense. And the competition within his team for minutes is just too crazy with Slukas, with Nunn.
Yeah. And also, let's not forget, like, Juancho also had a really tough first season.
That's another thing, yeah.
But he got a number of shots in his second year, although there were questions about his future in the club. He stayed, and now he's basically top 3 guy on the team, and he got a contract extension. So who knows? But looking at this situation right now, I'm just like, oh, it would be so great if Chus Mateo was making that substitution, not Ergin Ataman. That would be great for Madrid. But Madrid is in trouble. I mean, they didn't connect a single three-pointer in the first half. And I've checked their three-point shooting numbers from the last 2 games in ACB and EuroLeague. They were 3 of 26 in Oaxaca and 6 of 32 against Gran Canaria. So we're talking about 9 threes from 58 attempts.
Wow.
That's horrible.
Horrible, indeed. Another kind of side topic about Panathinaikos I wanted to touch on is something that Augustas actually spoke about quite a few times on our podcast. He always emphasizes that if Panathinaikos wants to make the Final Four, they have to have the home court advantage. And I looked at those 11 games without Lazor, and I kind of see a very, very obvious pattern. What do you think is the common thread between the losses that they had? 3 losses. What do you think is... There are 2 common things, but
all away?
All away, yes, correct. And what's the second thing that's connecting these losses? What do you think?
Kendrick Nunn was not playing MVP level?
No, something to do with the whole team's performance, not just one per player.
Not making shots?
Well,
missing a lot of threes?
It is partially that, but if we say more specifically, they were held up to 77 points. 75 against Milan, 77 against Baskonia, 73 against Barca. On average, on these losses, they are scoring 75 points. The average of points per game in wins in those 11 games were 94. So this is a 19-point swing when they're playing. Actually, when they're playing at home, they're scoring even more because some of the wins away that they had against Bayern, for example, they pulled that average down. But generally speaking, when they're playing away against teams that are not ASVEL and Bayern, because those are the 2 away games that they won actually, they're scoring 20 points almost less than they are back at home. So this is something that there is a reason why Augustas emphasized it. Also, if you look at the win against ASVEL, for example, was a nail-biter until the very, very end. And they got that game. They were leading, okay. For the last few minutes, they were leading, but ASVEL could have come back in the game with 1 or 2 shots. So with Bayern, like I said, it was just a very, very horrible game from Bayern. So they are definitely a team that exceeds all expectations at home. That 6-player effect is the best probably in the EuroLeague, but when they're away...
Yeah, even that game against Žalgiris, if you remember, Žalgiris had a great lead, huge lead. It felt like Žalgiris is going to take that win from Maka, but somehow a lot of stuff happened. Of course, the crowd was, they were pushing Panathinaikos players, including Kendrick Nunn, who is averaging 24.1 points per game at home and 16.7 away. That just illustrates the difference. Kendrick Nunn at home is 46% from free and 35 away. So 2-point shooting, 62 to 48. That's a huge difference.
And just remember that game against Fenerbahce that I still talk about because at the beginning of February where they won a game they lost. Yeah. They already seemed like they have lost a game, and then that home energy, the last possession where they defend and then they put up that was just a bump foul on Kendrick Nunn, and they somehow got that win. So it's like...
So it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy stretch. They could been easily 6-5 during that stretch without Lazor, and in case they dropped 1 or 2 games, now they would be in the mix between the top 6 seeds and the play-in pool. But that connects to my first point that I made. Well, now we can claim that they survived this stretch without Matthias Lazor. And when we had those huge question marks about their home court advantage situation and ability to get that home court advantage, now they're in a situation to reach that goal, I would say.
For sure. And they were, like I said, at the same exact situation last year. And even when you look at the rest of the standings last year, it was very similar. From the 3rd to 7th seed, it was a 2-win difference. And we know how that ended. Like they were behind Barca and Real, I think, last year. Now they're behind PAO, Olympiacos and Fenerbahce. Basically, they just need to stay in that top 4. We know how well they are at home.
So they have 1 win advantage over 4th and 5th seeds. Monaco, the only issue, they're still going to play Monaco at home. They lost the first game. No, I'm wrong. They lost against Monaco at home because it was Spanulis game.
I remember.
And debuted, I think. Yeah, so that was a huge win by Monaco. But still, Panathinaikos can also still win away to secure an advantage over Monaco because they lost only by 3 points. They have a head-to-head advantage against Bayern. They won both games. They're still going to play against Red Star that they won by 4 points, and they're still going to play against Paris that they lost by 4 points, but they're going to play at home. And these are basically the main teams, and Zvezda and Paris, they're 2 wins away from PAO. So with 6 games remaining, and many of those games being played at home, I mean, Panathinaikos, Alba at home, Maccabi away, Olympiacos away, that's a crucial win, Monaco away, and Red Star at home. So basically, if you win against Alba, if you win against Maccabi, and you win against your head-to-head opponents, Paris and Red Star, you're good. You're done with the top 4 seeds, and that was the main goal by Panathinaikos in surviving the Matthias Lazor absence.